Hello, this is Mr. Collier, and today we're doing the order of operations. Okay, that's an order in which we do the operations, which are like add, subtract, multiply, divide, but also things like square root and other things can come up as well. Okay, so generally we call that, or we have an acronym for that, BEMDAS. Okay, so there's four things in the order of operation. First thing you do is brackets, operations that are inside brackets. Then you have exponents. Then you have multiply and divide, but left to right. Add, subtract from left to right. Okay, so sometimes this is called PEMDAS, because instead of brackets, we just call it parentheses. Just another name for the same thing. Or some people call it GEMDAS. Okay, the G is for grouping symbols rather than parentheses, because technically it's not just parentheses. Things like if you got 2 times square root of 4 plus 5, you do the 4 plus 5 first because they are grouped. They're not really in parentheses, but they're kind of like in parentheses. Okay, you do this first, things like that. So that's where the G comes from. Anyway, there's 4 things. You start off with the grouping symbols or brackets, then exponents, multiply, divide, left to right, add, subtract, left to right. That's the way it is, and that's the way your calculators and computer programs work, so it's important to know how these things work. Um, Now, the word terms, since adding, subtracting is the last step you do, like terms are separated by add, subtract. So in this case, there are one, two, there's 3 terms. Okay, 3 terms. Okay, so we think of operations or expressions as being in terms. Um, yeah, and then we do each term separately until they're all simplified. So let's look at an example. Circle the terms. We've got 1 term, so terms are separated by adding, subtracting. So you got 3 terms. 4 terms, sorry, 4 terms. And you can do each of them and use the order of operations for each one. So let's look at the order of operations again. BEMDAS. So I start off with brackets. Kind of deleted my bracket there, but there's a bracket right there. And let's do that first. So you got 4 times 7. Now this is a whole separate term over here, so even though you do brackets first, you can do this exponent over here as well, because it's separated, it's in a totally separate term. Okay, next we can do the division here and the multiplication here, because they're in separate terms. You don't have to do them one at a time. Okay, now here if we go left to right, like you're supposed to do with the order of operations, we get 6 plus 28 is 34. 34 minus 7 is 27. Okay? Now you don't really have to do left and right if you're careful. You can add, subtract in whatever order you want, but just make sure you watch out for the negatives. Okay, so for example, you could have done this positive 7 plus this negative 7 gives you 0, and then negative 1 plus 28 is 27. Okay, so sometimes you can disobey this left to right thing, but just be careful with the signs. Okay, next one, let's circle the terms. This is a term. That's a term, that's a term, this is a term. They're separated by the adding and subtracting, so there's 4 terms again. Okay, 18 stays the same. We can simplify this. We get 10 over 5. 3 squared is a 9. 18 divided by 6 is a 3. Okay, now we can do this dividing here. This is divide and this is divide. Yeah, then we got 9 divided by 3 is 3. Now we can add, subtract left to right, and we get 20 minus 3 is 17. Okay, there's another rare one that a lot of people don't even know about, and it's not really in the acronym that was shown above. But let's look at something like this. We get exponents upon exponents. So a lot of people don't know this one, but you might think you go this way, but you actually have to go this way when you have exponents on top of exponents. So you do the 3 squared first, not 2 cubed first. So we do 3 squared. So you get 2 to the power of 9. Okay, the other way you would get 8 to the power of 2, which is a totally different answer. 2 to the power 9, he's going to multiply by 2 9 times. So you can go 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256. It's 512. The result is 512.